Besama Ab were world fescadus adwamla Amen. Besama Ab were world fescadus adwamla Amen. Besama Ab were world fescadus adwamla Amen. Yes, good morning, and hope everyone's doing good on this Sunday, whatever you get up to. It's quite a long chapter today, so I'll get straight into it. Numbers 31. Give thanks. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Avenge the children of Israel on the Midianites. Afterwards you shall be gathered to your people." Moses spoke to the people, saying, "Arm men from among you for war, that they may go against Midian, to execute Yahweh's vengeance on Midian. You shall send 1,000 out of every tribe, throughout all the tribes of Israel, to war." So there were delivered out of the thousands of Israel 1,000 from every tribe, 12,000 armed for war. Moses sent them, 1,000 of every tribe, to the war with Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, to the war with which the vessels of the sanctuary and the trumpets for the alarm in his hand. They were fought against Midian, as Yahweh commanded Moses. They killed every male. They killed the kings of Midian, with the rest of them being slain. Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, with the sword. The children of Israel took the women of Midian captive, with their little ones, and all their livestock, and all their flocks, and all their goods. They took as plunder all the cities in the places in which they lived, and all their encampments they burned with fire. They took all of the captives and all of the plunder, both of man and animal, and they brought the captives with which they prey and plunder to Moses and to Eleazar the priest, and to the congregation of the children of Israel, to the camp of the plains of Moab, which are by the Jordan at Jericho. Moses and Eleazar the priest, with all the princes of the congregation, went out to meet them outside the camp. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the captains of thousands of the captains of hundreds, who came from the service of the war. Moses said to them, "Have you saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against Yahweh in the matter of Pur. And so the plague was amongst the congregation of Yahweh. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known man by lying with them. But all the girls who have not known man by lying with them, keep alive for yourselves." Encamped outside of the camp for 7 days. Whoever has killed any person, and whoever has touched any slain, purify yourself on the 3rd day. And on the 7th day, you and your captives. You shall purify every garment, and all that is made of skin, and all the goat's hair, and all the things made of wood. Eleazar the priest said to the men of war who went up to the battle, "This is the statute of the law which Yahweh has commanded Moses. However, the gold and the silver and the bronze and the iron and the tin and the lead, everything that may withstand the fire, you shall make to go through the fire, and it shall be made clean. Nevertheless, it shall be purified with the water for impurity. All that doesn't withstand the fire, you shall make to go through the water. You shall wash your clothes on the 7th day. You shall be clean. Afterwards you shall come into the camp." Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Count the plunder that was taken, both of man and animal, for you, and Eleazar the priest, and the heads of the fathers, the whole households of the congregation, and divide the plunder into 2 parts between the men skilled in war who went out to battle, and all the congregation. Levy a tribute to Yahweh out of the men of war who went out to battle, 1 soul of 500, of the persons, of the cattle, of the donkeys, and of the flocks. Take it from their half, and give it to Eleazar the priest for Yahweh's wave offering. Of the children of Israel's half, you shall take 1 drawn out of every 50 of the persons, of the cattle, of the donkey, of the flocks, and all the livestock, and give it to the Levites who perform the duty of Yahweh's tabernacle. Moses and Eleazar the priest did as Yahweh commanded Moses. Now the plunder over and above the booty with which the man of war took was 665,000 sheep, 200,000 head of cattle, 61,000 donkeys, 230,000 persons in all. All of the women who had not known men by lying with them. The half which was portion of those who went out to war was in number 337,500 sheep. Of Yahweh's tribute of the sheep was 675. The cattle were 36,000, of which Yahweh's tribute was 72. The donkeys were 35,000, of which Yahweh's tribute was 61. The persons were 16,000, all of whom's Yahweh's tribute was 22 persons. Moses gave tribute, which was Yahweh's wave offering, to Eleazar the priest. And Yahweh commanded Moses, of the children of Israel's half, which Moses divided off from the men who fought, now the congregation's half was 337,500 sheep, 36,000 head of cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 persons. Even of the children of Israel's half, Moses took one drawn out of every 50, both of man and of animal, and gave them to the Levites who performed the duty of Yahweh's tabernacle, as Yahweh commanded Moses. The officers who were over the thousands of the army, the captains of the thousands and the captains of the hundreds came near to Moses. They said to Moses, your servants have taken the sum of men of war who are under our command, and there lacks not one man amongst us. You have brought Yahweh's offering, and every man found gold ornaments, armlets, bracelets, signet rings, earrings, necklaces, to make atonement for the souls before Yahweh. Moses and Eleazar the priest took up their gold, even all worked jewels, all the gold of the wave offering that were offered up to Yahweh, of the captains of thousands and the captains of hundreds, and 16,750 shekels. The men of war had taken up booty, every man for himself. Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold of the captains of thousands and hundreds and brought it into the tent of the meeting for a memorial before the children of Israel before Yahweh. For these few words I give thanks, blessings and love. So I personally think that's quite a challenging chapter. We're seeing here the children of Israel under the command of both Yahweh and Moses as quite an aggressive force. And I say this, with difficulty. I don't say these things kind of lightly. But previously we saw Balaam, the priest, and the prophet, who had basically conspirated against the children of Israel and for the women of Moab to go in and seduce the men of the land, and we saw how that played out in terms of the punishment meted on those people and the number of executions. So what we see here is, from God's instruction, revenge being meted now on the Midianite people for that deception, and we see huge destruction. We see thousands being executed. We see slaves being kept in the form of virgin women. Moses was angry that the women were spared, because they're the ones that went in and tempted the children of Israel. So women then became killed, and it was only the virgins that were kept and taken into slavery into the children of Israel. And all the men were massacred. And it's a huge, aggressive revenge by the children of Israel on the Midianites for that earlier deception, and Balaam himself is killed. And it's not easy reading, as with many things so far doing these Bible readings. There's certain things that I'm reading and can kind of feel uncomfortable because it doesn't present God and the children of Israel in a very glorious, compassionate light. I'll say it that way, and I have to be honest. By doing these, I'm entering into doing this in the spirit, where I have to be honest with how sometimes some of these readings kind of make me feel, and there's no way to sugarcoat that, really. And as we've seen in a previous chapter, the children of Israel had to take some blame with getting tempted by the women of Midian, because it was their faith that was weak. If their faith was strong, then they wouldn't have been tempted in that way. So for the children of Israel to submit to this revenge on the Midianites for that temptation that they succumbed to, for me, doesn't quite sit right. I'm not here questioning God. I'm not, far be it from me. I can only respond to what I'm reading in an open, honest, and transparent way, really. But we've been here before with the Bible. Some of the chapters, absolutely you can see what's going on, and some other chapters like, oh, that feels a bit uncomfortable, and I'm not sure about that. And I talked yesterday about elements of progressiveness or evolution of thought that has in the Bible from the Old Testament through to the New Testament. And this chapter feels very much in the crux of that kind of level of uncomfortability, and trying to understand it within the context with how it's written, and I was trying to do that yesterday with the level of the patriarchal society, but even seeing this in context of the time it's written, as I just said, the fact that the children of Israel had to take some responsibility for being seduced by the women of Midian through Balaam's deception, for this level of revenge to be meted on them for that. Do you know what I mean? I have to be really honest. Does sit a bit uncomfortable. It's interesting that the soldiers basically fighting for Israel, that even though they were fighting for Israel under God's command, they still had to be cleansed after that, because they were considered to be unclean, and they had to ask for forgiveness. So even when you're doing things for God and under the instructions of Moses, they still had to go through a process of repentance for that before they entered back into the camp. So I think that is interesting. So war is never clean, and war is seen to be unclean, something you need to be cleansed from before you enter back in that space. And that's only kind of right. But yeah, we do see here women being counted up as in the same way as cattle and peoples, not just women, but other people that were taken enslaved into the children of Israel, and the virgin girls being given to the soldiers themselves to you take for yourselves, it says, under Moses' instruction. So yeah, there are, this is why I think people have difficulties with some things in the Bible, because it's not all easy reading. It's not all, rosy and peace and love. Do you know what I mean? There's some really uncomfortable things in here. It does show that the children of Israel, it is a nation. It is very much a nation. And even with the taking of the census, the criteria of the census was taking it of men over a certain age who can fight in the army to defend Israel, or as seen here, meted out retribution on others. So the security of Israel was always something that was very much at the forefront of the building of the nation, that nations don't just get led by tabernacles and churches. They also are led by armies and, security and those other elements of the state as well. So it's a harsh lesson. By no means have I got rose-tinted glasses. But I have to, I'm here making myself vulnerable, putting my sort of thoughts and opinions on the line, and I can only do that with a clean heart and being honest, really. My faith in God is by no means diminished by these challenges and these challenging readings, but iron sharpens iron, and we see the fullness of the narrative being fulfilled in the personage of Jesus Christos, our Lord and Saviour, through the intercessory for I and I, through His Majesty, His Imperial Majesty, as our intercessor, bringing Rastafari to the Tewahedo faith. And I have to give thanks for the role that His Majesty has played in bringing ones and ones to this light. So again, give thanks, have a blessed day, and yeah, God willing, more tomorrow.